storage. Thank you, Chris.
The recording's been started.
All right, you're awesome. The existing lease area is also covered by encroachment permit L95S3955. In order to assist IDL in deciding whether to adjust HDB Marine submerged lease and in drafting the terms and conditions of any adjustment that might be issued, IDL is recording this meeting. Please note this is not a contested case proceeding under Idaho Code 581305 or a public hearing under Idaho Code 581306 that is subject to judicial review. This is simply a public meeting to gather information and input. It is 6 p.m. Pacific time, July 27, 2021. Actually, today is the 28th. We are conducting this meeting by video conference and in person. It's located at the Idaho Department of Lands office in Coeur Lane. Please make sure all cell phones are in silent mode and that your computer and phone are muted until it is your turn to speak. This meeting is related to the HDB Marine submerged lands lease for winter dock storage in Powderhorn Bay on Lake Coeur d'Alene. Following the final order for North Idaho Maritime's application L95S5884, signed by the director on December 3rd, 2020, the department was directed to use submerged lands leases for dock storage operations beyond the line of navigability. In general, the line of navigability is determined by the length of those legally permitted encroachments. The department is evaluating the winter dock storage lease applications, including this one, using the public trust doctrine and existing case law. Issues such as impact on navigation, fish and wildlife, water quality, recreation, and aesthetics will be evaluated. These terms can be used to mitigate potential impacts to these public trust values. The Idaho Department of Lands is responsible for administering the rules governing leases on state-owned submerged lands and formerly submerged lands, IDAPA 20.03.17. Winter dock storage is a commercial use of the lake. It requires semi-permanent anchors on the state-owned lake bed. As a result, this activity requires a submerged lands lease. We are here to consider the application and the written record, take public comment, and discuss whether or not the proposed lease adjustment should be issued. After the application is evaluated, a recommendation will be sent to the director of the Department of Lands along with a draft lease adjustment. If IDL staff determines that a submerged lands lease adjustment would be consistent with the submerged leasing rules and the public trust doctrine. Director will then evaluate whether or not the lease adjustment should be issued, and if so, whether the proposed terms are appropriate. No deadlines for this decision are contained in statute or rule. Materials related to this application have been posted on our website. This meeting was advertised in Coeur d'Alene Press on July 13, 2021. Notifications were sent to nearby littoral owners and other potentially interested parties. I will take additional comments during the meeting as follows: the applicant or the representative, members of the public who have signed up to provide comments on the Coeur d'Alene sign-in sheet or via Zoom, and then the applicant will be given an opportunity to respond to any issues raised and provide additional information. Before I begin taking comments, I'd like to go over a couple more items. Please be respectful and courteous of everyone here. This meeting is being recorded, so be sure to speak clearly. When it is your turn to provide comments, please begin by stating and spelling your name if needed. There will be no swearing in. This is a public meeting in which I am taking public comment, so please direct all comments to me. I may ask questions of those providing comments to ensure I fully understand the application or the questions, but there will be no cross-examination or questioning of the applicant or commenters by anyone present. If you do have questions, please direct them to me and I'll facilitate an answer for you. I may limit comments if they are duplicative or ask a presenter to remain on task if the comments start wandering. Presenters may defer to legal counsel or specialists, such as landscape architects, marine contractors, and engineers. If you wish to provide written comments, please submit them to me either following your oral comments or submit them to the department by 5 p.m. Thursday, the 29th. That is tomorrow. Written comments will be afforded the same weight as all verbal comments that I take today. Are there any questions before I begin accepting comments? Is anyone here in the room or on Zoom? No, okay. As I call your name, please come to the microphone if you wish to speak, and we will start off with the applicant.
Hi, my name is Isaac Shannon. I'll be representing Harrison Dock Builders today. Harrison Dock Builders was started in 1983 by my father, Keith Shannon. We have been doing business on Lake Coeur for roughly 38 years now, and have been storing docks in the back of Powderhorn since, we don't have an exact date, but maybe late 80s, early 90s in that time frame. Over that time, we've outgrown our permitted lease size and are asking for an additional lease to accommodate our current dock storage needs. This will allow us to continue to serve our customers we currently have and the general public, as the ability to store docks protects everyone on the lake from potential property damage and dock debris, which could become a safety hazard to all who enjoy time out on the water. Dock storage has become a necessity for many who live on the lake due to winter drawdown and the winter storms we have. This is a service which I currently, in my opinion, is an absolute necessity on Lake Coeur d'Alene at this time. Powderhorn provides a deep water storage area that is necessary for storage of a lot of the docks that we do store. Over the years, we've seen a growth in the need for storage until recently. Currently, we are seeing a downtrend in the amount and the types of docks we need to be stored due to advances in marine construction capabilities. When replacing docks now and designing with the consideration of storage, there's a lot more options for customers. So we're seeing a trend for them, through fixed pier docks, foldable yokes, and other construction options for them to have a dock that doesn't need to be stored. With that said, I think there will always be a need for dock storage. We're just hoping to be able to reduce this lease size back to probably our original size over years. But it took a long time to get there, so it's going to take a long time to get back. That's pretty much what we're after, just continuing to provide services to our customers at this point in time, and try to keep our customers stored and the lake safe in the long run. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Do you have a couple of questions? Sure. Yeah. So let's see, you've answered the first question I had. How long have you done winter dock storage?
Yeah.
When did the storage area exceed the current 0.72 acres that is permitted under the encroachment?
My guess would probably have been 2000s, 2005-ish, because we upgraded in 1999 to the size we were at then, but then just continued to grow from there. So my guess would be probably mid-2000s.
Okay. Is that encroachment permit still needed?
Which one? The existing one?
Yeah.
Yes, I would like to keep that one because my hope is that this overflow lease will eventually go back down to that original permit size, which we'd like to keep.
Okay. So term 2D of the existing lease requires compliance with all state laws and rules. And one of those requirements is to possess the littoral rights for encroachment permits. Do you have littoral rights on existing encroachment permits?
We have a signed document from the previous littoral owner. Yes, we do.
Okay.
Yeah. I can probably find it, yes.
Yeah, if you could send that to us tomorrow, that would be fabulous.
Okay, yeah, I think Jessica was going to try to find it, but yeah, we can probably round that up for you. Because I believe, yeah, on our original permit, we had that.
And what are the typical charges for winter dock storage?
We do, I believe it's $120 annual fee and then 45 cents a square foot for a dock.
That's 25 cents?
45 cents a square foot.
45,
yeah.
Sorry. Okay. And see, winter dock storage was the proposal on the lease application. Is there anything currently moored out there?
Not currently.
Pardon?
No, we don't have anything currently mowed out there. We were late getting a lot of stuff out of there due to the windstorm last year. So we had a lot more than average volume of crab docks, but that Labor Day storm really exceeded, any other normal year.
Mhm.
Rounding them up after dock storage was a chore.
And about how many customers per year do you have?
Total dock storage customers or just dock customers?
Just here in Powderhorn,
In Powderhorn, we have 233.
233.
Yeah. And I believe we'll reduce that by 10 this year. Because I believe we did, that many pure docks and, other setups where they don't have to have a store anymore.
Mhm. Which leads into my next question. Why is dock storage needed on Lake Coeur d'Alene?
It's mostly the water depths and just some of the weather we get in certain areas. But at the same, so basically a lot of docks, the way they sit with the winter drawdown, just tear docks apart, lake comes up, docks float away, create a giant debris mess. And, a lot of that was, designed in the past and things like that, where now we can kind of look at that and know what, how to avoid those type of issues in the future.
Mhm.
But the biggest one's probably the winter drawdown, in my opinion.
Okay.
And, there's still a lot of docks that, I don't think may ever be able to, well, they should be able to someday. But.
Is there any type of dock construction that's particularly susceptible to that winter damage?
The floating docks all are. There's not one type that's probably more susceptible than another, but it's anytime you get, and it's mostly those people in Lake Coeur d'Alene's got a very topographic, or angled shoreline. So when the water goes down, it's anything that sits at a uneven level,
Mhm.
which is the majority of the lake, unfortunately.
Great. So we've received a lot of comments, I guess just today. We don't have those posted yet because it takes a day or two. We'll try to get all those up by Friday because we'll get comments through
Okay.
too. But some of the comments submitted suggest that there are dock parts that fall off while things are in storage.
I mean, things are loose when they go in and then, things happen in storage.
Mhm.
I mean, it's not perfect, world, but very rarely.
Yeah. Ever send divers down there to look?
We do.
At stuff
Yep.
down there? Okay.
We sent a diver down this year and he was able to retrieve one gangway that fell off the dock and some other stuff.
Okay.
But, things do fall off, but yes, we do, try to clean that up.
Okay. About how often?
Once probably every couple of years. It depends, some years are worse than others, depending on the type of weather we have and things like that. So
Mhm.
it is a little subjective there.
Okay. And what sort of management issues have come up in the past when you're managing dock stores? Do you get a lot of people dropping off unwanted things or people vandalizing things?
Every once in a while we'll have stuff go missing, it does happen. Things go missing off docks and I don't know whether they walk off or what happens, but like I said, we've had divers go down, it doesn't show up. So they walked off. So we do have some slight issues, but really most years we don't have any problems.
Okay. Any problems, with people dropping off stuff that?
We do have that from time to time, people use it as a dump area for the docks. And I think a lot of those are the fly by night dock construction people, know it's an easy place just to ditch a dock and drive away.
I was reading about Kootenai County's trash collection issues and it
Yeah.
might be kind of the same thing.
It is. And, and we've always just demoed that stuff, and, throughout, agreements with Department of Lands for previous leases, we've always done the cleanup as well as, part of our lease fees.
Mr. Hearing Coordinator, if I can interrupt briefly. We've got somebody called into the conference at 208-691-2346, and we're getting some pretty heavy interference. So if they could please mute their device, that would be great. And to the person that called in at that number, are you able to hear us?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, if you can go ahead and mute your device, the conference is picking up background noise from your device and it's switching to it.
It muted.
Okay, great. Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
All right, and I think that's all the questions I have for now.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and with that, let's see who we have first. We have somebody with the initials of KS. I don't have the full name here, but if you would like to provide some comments, please unmute and identify yourself and tell us a story.
Chat.
No comments, okay.
Eric, she doesn't have any, or KS does not have any comments to provide.
Thanks, Mick. Okay, moving on to, there's a phone number, I believe that's the 691-2346 number. Do you have any comments for us tonight?
No.
Okay. There's somebody with the initials of WD. Do you have any comments for us tonight?
Hi, my name's William Dowd. I'm a property owner on Powderhorn Bay. I submitted written comments, so I encourage you to read those. They're quite long. I just asked for a clarification. Is this when does the current lease expire for the smaller, 0.7 acre parcel on Bay?
I'll get back to him in a minute.
We're gonna look that up real quick and we'll get back to you on that.
Okay. The reason I asked is you described this as an expansion. I was under the impression it was a renewal, so I was just curious what the timeline was for the two different moving parts.
Okay, yeah, we'll get back to you on that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we'll put a pin in that thought.
I have that answer.
Okay, go ahead.
It's gonna expire December 31st of 2022.
Okay. So the end of 2022 is when the current lease expires.
So does that mean the expansion would also expire at the same time?
Yes, yeah, the entire lease would expire, and we usually start the lease renewal process about a year in advance.
Got it.
And
Okay,
yeah,
great. Thank you.
you're welcome. All right, and then moving on, we have Pat Farrell. Do you have any comments for us tonight?
Yeah, I have a couple comments. Does the proposed lease expansion involve installing additional pilings into the bay?
Okay, I believe it does because there aren't any piling out in that area.
We'll actually be moving 2 or 3 pilings out further away from the bank.
Okay, so you'll be uninstalling some
Yeah,
piling and
and reinstalling,
installing
yeah.
some new ones, right? Because the,
Because we have to go from that 35 foot to 70.
exactly, that the new storage area is out, I think 75 feet
It could-
Yeah. from the shore instead of closer to the shore. So yes,
I too am a property owner in the Bay and submitted written comment and was part of a larger comment signed by 24 property owners in the Bay that I'm hoping has been read by IDL and is given weight.
Yes.
And I want to, I'm curious as to if other locations outside of Powderhorn Bay have been considered by HDB, such as the Harrison Slough for dock storage? And if not, why so?
Unfortunately not, because the depth of the water in the slough, there's only so many docks we can get in shallow water storage. So we need another deep water bay. Sorry.
And yeah, that's, I understand. And I do understand the need for dock storage. One of the biggest concerns I guess I had was the untimely removal of the docks and derelict docks. You partially explained that earlier, but that's something that I think all property owners in the Bay would like to see, is all of the docks and parts of docks and other garbage that's in there is removed as specified by the time in the lease, which I believe the current lease specifies April 30th.
Whoops, somebody, if they could mute their microphone, that would be very helpful. Thank you. Okay, is that all, Mr. Farrell?
Yeah, other than my written comments, that's all I have.
Okay, great, thank you. And I believe, so we may have a new participant whose name is Arwen. Don't remember seeing. Do you have any comments?
My husband and I already submitted written comments, and I think that will suffice.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Great. And with that, we'll go to the folks here in person and Jim Riley.
Is it best for me to stand up?
Yeah, that'd be great. There's a microphone right there on the stand.
Great, thank you. I am Jim Riley. I'm a resident of Powderhorn Bay. I've been in the Bay since about 1990, so I've seen the evolution of all the dock storage there. I knew your dad pretty well at times too, so it's good to see you, Shannon. I've also been a customer of HDB. I got a high regard for this company. They built a fine dock for me, and we've done a lot of good projects together over time. So I want to make sure that I'm here in the spirit of cooperation, not in the spirit of contention here. So I agreed with property owners that abut Powderhorn Bay to serve as the point of contact, just to make communications easy and efficient if we could, both with the department and with the dock companies involved. So that's my purpose here. They all are plenty capable of speaking for themselves, so I'm just the point of contact. I want to just give you an idea of what's happened in Powderhorn Bay since 1999. The residential density in there of people that have residences part year, and many of them year round now, has increased probably by 200% since this initial permit was last renewed in 1999. At the same time, there's been an increased incidence of recreational boating. Recreational boating in the Bay is now 10 months long out of the year, when it used to be just 2 or 3 months in the summertime. I was out there last weekend. You could count 30 boats all using the part of the Bay which is within the scope of what this applied permit is for. There's also increasing dock quantities, as you've seen over time, and as Mr. Shannon's reported here, that probably the expansion of the docks has gone from 1999, it was a few docks, mostly pretty close by, and they were all residential docks. And so they were pretty easy to see, and they were just a small group of them there, and they all went out pretty quickly. Now that that the size of that is probably 2 or 3 times bigger than it was back at that point in time. So this is just with increasing use, with increasing residents and increasing dock storage, we're just coming around to an incompatibility of what's happening in this bay, I believe. There's also been an escalating pattern of year-round use of the storage area for various purposes. The lease requires the docks to be removed by the 1st of June, I believe. And that has not happened for the last 7 years. And we've always been, I would say, we've contacted the dock company. They get it out as quickly as possible. I think the dock company's quite busy. I know they are because they got backed up list of things. So I'm not here just to be highly critical of this, but there are docks there. I put some pictures in the record and I brought just a couple so you could see them. This was from last week. Dock parts and storage that was in Powderhorn Bay. And I want to be sure that anybody who wanted to look at that could see this.
Okay, can we keep the?
Yes, you may.
Okay,
And
great.
I have extra copies for anybody who might be in the room that might want to see them. I did call HDB when I saw this and talked to them, and within a few days, they went out to gather it up. I'm sure you've seen this. Okay. So does anybody else want to look at these?
And I know there's another company that has a small storage area, so you're sure this is at HDB's and not the other one?
Yes, I am. I tried to be sure this was all down at what I understood to be the, and so, but I think it gets mixed up out there. So I don't know. I can't tell you exactly for sure. But when you look at this, part of what you see is these are not whole, intact, all the time residential docks. I mean, it used to be when it started off, somebody had a dock, they said, okay, take my dock in and store it. I mean, when you see these parts, you see tires on here, you see, this, I don't know exactly where it comes from. Perhaps that's a question, why are there broken parts? And you can see, tires and log, ends of things and all of that. If we're just storing in docks, what's happening to create that kind of debris that's there. And then what happens is because of the use of this bay this time of year, boat wakes and other things and wind will disturb this, it'll break apart, and then this will drift around inside the bay, which creates a problem for us as landowners and for recreational boaters. So that's really a big part of the problem. So it's also become a year-round, it appears to be a permanent merge now for some of the tugs and barges associated with the dock company. I don't think they're HDBs as much as they are the other dock company that's out there. And we've always said that, look, it's a good place to park a barge overnight and, for 2 nights or so in a row. But there's a barge and a tug been parked out there now for the better part of 2 months, and it swings out into the bay and interferes with boat traffic. So that's where it is. The most significant problem, and I was surprised to learn about this, is that I always assumed that the property adjacent to the dock storage was actually state land that was controlled by the Department of Transportation. And actually it's private property. And so I've heard from the private property owner, and he said that he has not provided any permission to use that. And none of us that are private property owners in Powderhorn Bay are willing to stand and say it's a good thing that you ought to be able to put a lease in front of somebody else's private property. If you were going to hang a dock storage unit 75 foot in front of my property, I'd be pretty upset about it. And I'd also probably tell you, it probably doesn't square with the purpose of the submerged land lease when you look at that. So that's where it is. Now, I did have a question about these pilings. So if what now is proposed to move new and put new pilings well into the bay away from the shore that it's in, and that's going to definitely interfere with recreational boat traffic that's out there using that probably today, I can tell you. So I'm just really curious as how do you secure that many docks 75 feet away from the shore? And if we're going to put permanent pilings in, I just got to tell you, that's really going to cause a problem for existing recreational boats. But I don't want to just be here a complainer. I want to look for solutions. So it's interesting. I actually did just a little bit of work on this. And here I want one other thing I will submit for the record. Here's 3 maps. Mr. Wilson, I don't know if we can send this up to Zoom land.
Not easily, but we will get it posted on our website as part of tonight's exhibit.
Okay. So if you look at this, where you see where I just wrote PHB in the middle, that's Powderhorn Bay. And then you look where there's a number 1 in a circle there, that's across. And if you flip to the next page, you'll see that's a map of this bay, which is Lofts Bay, I believe, which is 1,100 feet across. And most importantly, the ownership on the shore is state, Idaho Department of Fish and Game, and it's BLM all the way around. So it's public ownership, not private ownership that docks could be stored in front of. And it's a bigger, but also well-protected bay, just like Powderhorn Bay is. If you look back to the reference map again, you see the number 2. You flip that. This little bay is across from East Point. I don't remember its name, technically. But when you look at this is all land. This is a bay with deep water where the shore is owned by the Idaho Parks and Recreation on both sides, and it's 2,300 feet across, and would more than accommodate the dock storage that exists in Powderhorn Bay there in both these places, in front again of public property that is not developed for, and it would not interfere with personal uses. And then if you look back onto the reference map again, you see where it just says HS on there, that's the Harrison Slough that was spoken to earlier that currently has a dock storage lease, and it would be from there. So when you look at the comments, we respect the interest of people that commented and said we want to make sure our docks are looked after and properly stored. We certainly understand that and want to see that done. We like this company. It's a great company. We'd like to see, but we have to resolve this incompatible use. So we'd like to submit that there are excellent locations within Lake Coeur d'Alene that have public property, not private property, where this use could be accommodated with much less interference than it currently has, without interfering with private property owners in the bay. So that said, we're happy to be here, and we would look forward to supporting an alternative proposal in any of those bays or otherwise to go forward. And I'm sure the group of neighbors we have that are always looking to be neighborly would stand and talk about how to do that and how to make it happen properly. So
I got a couple questions for you.
shoot.
You talked to, I believe there's a church camp on the southeast corner of Lofts Bay. What do you think they would say to your proposed solution?
I have not talked, if there's a church camp, it's going to be further out, I believe, Mr. Wilson, on that point coming from the south.
Yeah.
So, so if in Lofts Bay that, the docks could be stored in front of the BLM property, the Fish and Game property, just
Possibly,
fine.
just looking at the air photo, it looks a little shallow there by the BLM property.
Yeah, I didn't run depths, so I don't know what the depths are in there.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate the suggestion. May just be moving the problem into somebody else's backyard.
And that's not, we don't want to be suggesting that this use take place in front of anybody's private property. We think that's not only improper, but it's inconsistent with the requirements of the submerged land lease regulations in our view. So in my view. So we're looking for places on the lake where it can be accommodated in front of public property. And I think there's 2 there that could accommodate that pretty readily. And if we split it up, why have them all in one spot? Why let's put half of them, when you look at where the comments came in, apparently there's a lot of docks stored from Carlin Bay and otherwise. So if some of those went to Lofts Bay and some of the ones on the other part of the lake went down into the other location or those sort of things, why would that not be a better solution?
Okay.
Thank
you.
All right. Thank you.
Rick, oh boy, I'm not going to try to pronounce your last name, Rick. You got me.
Just look, Safransky.
Safransky. Okay. Did you want to?
Yeah.
Okay, come on up.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm Rick Safransky, and I'm the landowner to the north of Powderhorn Bay, where all the docks are stored. And I've been a landowner and around for about two seasons, so I've seen how it's operated for 2 seasons. And And I understand that in talking with the previous owner, they had given no permission. And it seems as Jim Riley mentioned, that it was deemed to be state land. And for some reason, it wasn't. And it's now, land that my wife and I own, where these docks are stored and beached on the land, ropes tied to the trees and things like that. So it's been non-navigable, and I understand pushing it out further in the bay is a proposal to cure that problem. And my comments on that is, aesthetically, it's an eyesore to have docks all jumbled together any which way with slides sticking up. So it's with stuff on them. So it's not very attractive. We use our property year round. So we drive by there year round. Our lake frontage is small and steep. I'd like to have dock availability at some point. As I say, we just owned it for 2 years, and we couldn't put a dock there now if we wanted to because of this, how the docks have been stored for the time we've owned the property. And as we've talked in the meeting, this has been going on for 20 plus years, and the owners in Powderhorn Bay have endured that burden for 20 years. And I think other alternatives, as Jim mentioned, should be looked at, and where they're either not impacting owners, and if it's state land, it's going to be much easier to keep everybody happy. The bay is fairly narrow, and pushing that out there does restrict traffic, and there's safety issues and such that need to be looked at. And that's my comments. I also did provide written comments last year, so.
Okay, yeah, and I think we have those loaded up on our website as well. Okay, I got a couple questions for you. Actually, if I could ask Chris to pull up the application and share that with us. Should I ask that earlier? I just want to clarify where Mr. Safransky is talking about.
Absolutely. Give me 1 second here.
Okay.
Is that what we need to see there?
Yeah, could you, let's see, rotate that, I guess, counterclockwise, one click?
Give me 1 second here.
I know it's easier for me to have north be north.
Hold on. Should be able to get it here. Rotate view. Let's see. Oop, did I go the wrong way? Give me 1 second. How about that?
That looks great. And zoom in, I guess, just a little bit. There we go. That works. Great. Thank you, Chris.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, and we are sharing. Okay, great. So in looking at the area in red is the currently permitted storage area. So you own the property just to the right of it, is that?
Yes.
Okay. Because the last I looked at the Kootenai County Recorder's page, it listed a timber company or.
That's our LLC, St. Joseph Woodlands.
Okay, yes, that's the one. Okay,
That's us.
that's you. Okay, great, thank you. I just wanted to make sure that I was
no problem.
clear. Yeah.
Okay.
Appreciate you coming tonight.
All right. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Okay, and that's all we have for,
Mr. Wilson?
yes, Mr. Riley.
Will you-
Hey, please come up to the,
I was going to ask a question, when you have this map up, could maybe someone show us where the new pilings will be located to secure?
I was going to cover that in my follow-up. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so with that, could I have Isaac come back up?
Make that point at the screen or?
You absolutely may, yes, please. So where,
So currently, there's additional filings here and here, I believe. And those filings would end up being moved out to here.
okay, so south of the
South
red
of the,
area, there's a couple,
correct,
and those will be moved out.
correct, to get that 75 feet instead of 35.
Okay. Okay, so in the outboard portion of the proposed expansion, how would docks that far out be secured?
These ones here,
Yeah,
these ones are already secured with the pilings on the shore.
okay, so you circle around them and then tie them all to the piling that are.
Yeah,
along the
they
shore.
come out from shore this way.
Okay,
Yep, and then they just all tie together in a big raft.
okay. Great, let's see. I think that's all I had. Mike, can you, anything?
Nothing that
Okay. Great. Did you have any other closing comments or?
I think I'm okay. If
Okay.
there's any questions.
I think covered all of ours. All right. So last chance, is there anyone else who wishes to provide comments, either oral or written? Okay, great. Well, having reached the hour of, what time is it? It is now 6:47. I now adjourn this meeting. Thank you for your attendance and participation this evening. Appreciate it. We'll endeavor to provide a recommendation to the director within 30 days. And with that, Chris, you may stop the recording.